And what is up, everyone? I am joejdh. I'm host of Beyond the Woodline. Real quick before we get started with the show, you guys may or may not know I am part of the JRG, which is the Jevning Research Group, headed up and founded by William Jevning. He's a great guy, man. He's got almost 50 years of experience in the Bigfoot world. Um, so we have teams all over the country, and from New York State, Florida, Oregon, California, uh, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, and of course here in Texas. And I always miss a couple of states. I know. If you're interested in helping out with that research, just let me know, and we'll get you guys set up. We vet everyone carefully as we can. Um, if you guys have an issue, you have a report, and there's not a team in your state or area, just let me know. We network with a bunch of people, so we know guys all over the country, so that won't be an issue either. You want to tell your story? Hit me up, and like I said, if you want to join the team and do some research, you don't have to get out into the field. I rarely get out into the field, especially during the summertime. Um, but you can do your research from your laptop, your computer, your cell phone. You can find places, witnesses, give us ideas on techniques. We're always open to that. So hit me up at beyond.woodline@gmail.com and we'll get you guys started. And with that being said, I know you guys don't tune in to hear me ramble off at the mouth. Tonight I have with me Insane Joe from the Insane Asylum. How are you doing, Joe?
Doing good, doing good.
That's good, man. Dude, I appreciate you jumping on. I know it was last minute and I needed a replacement really bad. So I know you volunteered like last week for today, actually. You still wound up doing it. So that's pretty good.
So it all worked out, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. It all worked out in the end. That's good, man. So real quick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into the world of the paranormal?
Well, I I'm disabled, and we started a podcast a long time ago. We kind of ticked people off, so after doing it for so long and probably getting negative YouTube subscribers and stuff, our subscribers was in the negative. No, I'm just kidding. I say that because it was that, you know,
Yeah.
rough. We switched to the paranormal because my partner had some experiences. I believed in it for a very long time, and then I had an afterlife experience, after death experience or life, I had an out of body experience. That's it. I died about 5 or 6 times back in '95, just right around this time of year, December 4th, 1995. I had got diagnosed with leukemia, and it was so far gone. They said I wasn't going to live to see Christmas that year.
Wow.
Well, here I am, quite a few years later,
Mhm.
still alive and kicking, but disabled.
Mhm.
So when we switched into paranormal, I got the first book I got was called Weird Wisconsin. That's where I was born and raised around Wisconsin, and I tell you, I never knew how much actually existed in my state that was weird and paranormal and unexplained and just interesting. So we started exploring it and been doing it since until COVID hit, and then we did our talk show. So, and we kind of was the inspiration for a couple other people to do that one, to do a talk show format. So,
Yeah, that's cool. What's up, Mr. Anthony? Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Um, Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
well, our podcast goes every Friday, 5 p.m. Central Time, and we have guests from all walks of paranormal life from everywhere. We've had guests from Canada, UK. Um, we've had psychics, um, tarot readers, all kinds of people,
Okay, cool.
and
Yeah, that's
it's
kind of
it's
like what I do.
been nothing but fun for
Yeah.
me. I enjoy it.
Yeah, man, same here. That's it sounds like a lot like what I do, and Yeah, it's just a lot of fun to do this and
But I do miss going out, and I'm waiting for the weather to get warmer because I do miss going out in the field. You know, it does get a little hard on my body, so we only do it when the weather's warmer. You know,
right,
but we didn't get to go this whole last year,
mhm,
which was kind of a bummer.
right. Yeah, well, that's why I don't go out bigfooting in the summertime. It's just too hot here in Texas. I mean, it'll really really beat you down. It'll wear you out.
Yeah, I don't think I could handle that either.
Yeah, and it was a
You know,
brutal summer this year, so I'm really glad I didn't go. Yeah.
Texas is what probably not as it's probably like you don't have the conditions like Vegas where it's like a dry heat.
No.
You get the humidity in Texas too, don't you?
Yeah.
Like you do up here. Yeah,
Yeah. You could walk outside before you get to your car. You start sweating.
yeah. I couldn't handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny is when I went to Vegas earlier this year, I was actually walking around in jeans, and they weren't sticking to my legs. It was a weird feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Vegas once, but it was February,
Mhm.
so it's nice and it was nice out, 70 degrees
Yeah.
in February.
That's a good time to go, man. But, yeah. So, what places have you actually investigated, or what kind of places do you investigate?
Well, the first place we didn't get to go inside the building, but we investigated the grounds. Our actual first investigation was a place called Sanatorium Hill, and back in I don't remember the exact dates, but when it first started, it was a TB hospital,
Okay.
and they ended up having a lot of deaths and so on up there. Like normal hospitals like that would. Um, I had a friend or a relative that worked there, and she was telling me the stories that because they'd go down in the basement in the wintertime of this building to smoke their cigarettes instead of going outside, and they were standing in the hallway, and the hallway goes this way, and then they had a corridor and at the end of that corridor, it's kind of blocked off because that corridor used to go outside to like some cement pools, like therapy pools they're all buried by overgrowth of land and stuff now, but you can see some of the cement foundations there. They were sitting there. It was, middle of a work day. They were on a break. They were down there smoking a cigarette. There was two of them, and all of a sudden, this old wheelchair started rolling towards them down the one corridor that went off the one they were standing in.
Mhm.
And they freaked out and they said, "That's it. We're not going that deep. We're just going to stay at the bottom of the stairs from now on." And they said a lot of people have gone down and all we've wanted to do is investigate that basement.
Yeah.
But because it's a county owned building and it's still being in use for stuff, well, we've got sensitive material in there, we can't let you in there, blah, 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 blah. Government red tape bullshit. So that was our first experience with trying to get into a place. We've gone out to the Beast of Bray Road area. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's kind of a dogman werewolf type creature that's been seen since the early, what was it, 30, what did she say it was, 36? Linda Godfrey dubbed it the
Yeah.
Beast of Bray Road. She was a famous author, God bless her soul. She
Mhm.
passed away earlier this year, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. I remember.
But she
Yeah.
was the one that named it the Beast of Bray Road.
Mhm.
And we've been going out there on and off for the last 3.5 years.
Mhm.
And we know the gentleman that owns the property that has been dubbed by a guy named Barnaby Jones from Caps, um, the Skinwalker Ranch of Wisconsin.
Right.
And it's true because, I went to the place. I was doing research on the Beasts of Bray Road, and I happen to love cryptids, Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster. All those things fascinate me. Mothman, just because anything's possible.
Right.
I always say anything's possible. Got to keep an open mind. And so I read this article that Linda wrote, and then I checked into it further. So all I'm expecting is the story of this so-called dog man, right? No, we got a lot more than that.
Oh, really?
When we got we the first time we just drove down Bray Road, and you'll hear me say on the video, it's just a drive down short video. We have it up on YouTube. You'll hear me say in the camera because we don't even get out of the car because of how the road's about 2.5 miles long, and it's completely dark. If you're down there in a full moon, that's about your best light you're going to get. Okay. Oh, anyway, you'll hear me say how if you're driving alone all by yourself and you see maybe a wolf or a coyote eating roadkill, the mind can play tricks with you,
Right.
you know. And, I didn't put a whole lot of faith into it. And then we went and met this gentleman, Lee Hample. I'm sure people that know about Beast Spray Road, they know about Lee Hample. He was on Josh Gates and all them shows on TV when it comes to the Beast. And we sat there and interviewed and talked to him for about 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
Toured his property, listened to his stories, and I was hooked. There is something going on his property, and it is not just the Beast of Bray Road. Some of the trail cam pictures, it almost looks like Bigfoot's like you got the shadow in front of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it almost looks like a silhouette of a Bigfoot, and that's looking up at the sky. And when you zoom in on the sky on those trail cam pictures, you see what's like UFOs. There's a few of them,
Okay.
all in the same picture, and like the Bigfoot's looking at it. And that's kind of like, people thinking, well, it's interdimensional or something. And that's why we have no solid DNA or some type of evidence,
Right.
right? Except the casts and the footprints. And so we've got a lot of pictures like that. We've got some trail cam pictures that have showed things in the sky that we can't explain. There was one that looked like it could have been like a dragon type figure. Others think it's like a flying serpent. Um, it's a strange and unique place, and if the stuff that didn't happen to me the one night we were there
Mm.
for our first night investigation, I wouldn't be going back.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
We were there. We had a gentleman. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's Dale Kazmarek. He's from
No.
Illinois. He's founded the Ghost Research Society. He's been doing this since 1974-ish, whatever. I consider him a mentor in the paranormal field. I called him because he was so interested in going and investigating the Beast of Bray Road. So he went along with us. So it was me, my buddy Mark, myself, and Dale Kazmarek. And it was about midnight that night. And Dale and I had something, and you'll be able to find this on our thing called Hunting the Beast. I put all the best of the footage on that. It's we got thermal. Dale had a thermal that had a 10-inch screen, real nice thermal. And we had a bipedal figure in the cornfield that ran alongside the property, 35 acres of hayfield. This that that was a property we were on. The guy harvests the hay for his horses in Illinois.
Mhm.
So he let us come up there for an overnight. We've got this bipedal figure in the cornfield. And you can hear Dale and I talking about it. And I think the camera actually went on to the thermal camera. We lost track of it. And meanwhile, Mark is walking in to the hayfield right alongside the running parallel to the cornfield. He's talking to whatever. He thinks something was in there following him, and he's talking to it. And we can't hear him and he can't hear us because of the distance. He comes back and he swears something following us, but on our cameras you hear us say, Dale and I talking, because we lost the bipedal figure. We said, well, maybe it followed Mark. Okay, so this all kind of pieces together.
Right.
The objective of this whole night was to stay until sunrise or a little bit after, because most of the trail cam pictures that were caught, because they had like some unidentified objects in the hayfield, showing up,
Mhm.
were all early in the morning, right around sunrise.
Okay.
Okay. Well, shortly after this, it was a couple hours after the bipedal figure and all that happened. And I've lived in Wisconsin all my life. I've never, ever seen fog roll in so thick and
Mhm.
so fast as it did that night. And we had to pack up real quick because the moisture is the equipment's worst enemy,
Right.
you know. So we were packing everything up as quick as we could. We get it all packed up in the cars. We're going out in the ground with flashlights, just make sure we got everything. And the fog just dissipated just as quick as it came in. It was like the land was trying to kick us off there before anything else happened.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a possibility, um, especially if it's got that skinwalker type of vibe to it. You know.
It really does. I didn't believe that at first because I heard, I believe in parent unity. I assume you do too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing this show. Um, you're sitting there talking with other paranormal people, and you share your stories and so on and so forth, and maybe share some ideas. Well, this gentleman, Barnaby Jones, I've known for a while, and he said he'd been out to that property, and as far as he's concerned, that's Skinwalker Ranch of Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And I didn't believe it. And all of a sudden, I get out there that one night, and all that stuff happened to us. And I tell you, I believe it now, you
Mhm.
know. And what we've seen can't be explained. I mean, the casts, Lee Hampel's got some plaster casts
Mhm.
of the prints. And he got told by DNR that, oh, that's just a double tap or an over tap.
Right.
All right. And no, not that many times. I don't think so. There's no canines that make a print that looks like that one.
Right.
You know, um, it's 5 toes, 7 pads.
Okay.
Where did it go? I dropped my lighter. Oh well, I got another one.
Mhm.
So that's been our biggest thing, though, is in really been investigating the Beast of Bray Road. We've done other investigations aside from that because we can't go out there all the time because, this the guy that owns the property I'm not going to have him come out of his way from Illinois
Right.
just to please us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wait until he's got time and he's going to actually be here in Wisconsin to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we've done a lot of other places, and then there's some that I've got a bucket list for.
Do you have a favorite spot you've gone to do paranormal research?
I think the my favorite one was an old flour mill.
A flour mill.
Yeah, it was a old flour mill, and before that, I think it was a lumber mill or
Okay.
whatever, because it's right next to the Milwaukee River.
Mm.
But today, when we went or today is in this time of year, this decade or whatever,
Right.
um, it's like an art mill or an art mall.
Okay.
Um, we got permission to investigate this place, and actually, they actually requested somebody come and investigate it because they had a lot of paranormal activity going on where, you know, stuff was being finished when nobody was there. Like somebody'd start a project there,
Mm-hmm.
leave it, come back, and it was like finished,
Right.
you know. Lights would come on when nobody was there. They'd hear noises. So we went and investigated this as a favor for a friend of mine, and it turned out to be quite the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
We got some. We were doing an EVP session in a kind of like a little bar type area, not a liquor bar, but for an art mall, it'd be like fruit and juice or whatever bar.
Okay.
So it was just a little area cafeteria type thing. We were sitting in there with the lights off doing an EVP session, and there was 4 or 5 of us in this room, and that was everybody that should have been in the building that night. And all of a sudden, in the bathroom behind us, we heard water running, but nobody was in the bathroom. So quickly, Chris and Mark get up. Christopher Kaihaus was with us. He was from another group, and they go and check the faucet, and there was no water running, but it was wet.
Hmm. Okay.
The sink was wet,
Right.
and nobody had used that faucet all night while we
Hmm.
were there. And it's like that was just one of the first things that happened to us. I was walking out to have a smoke, to go outside to have a smoke with my friend Tom, and and this taught me to have a body cam on next time. You've got, oh, this is an old building, 19, I think it was 19, early 1900s. So it's got that like metal strip on the wall, like to
Right.
protect the wires and stuff,
Right.
because it's a brick wall. And you got 3 light bulbs in the hallway, and a switch on either end. And if you turn the switch on, all 3 lights come on at the same time. Okay, they're all triggered by the same switch, all 3 of them, right? I'm coming downstairs with Tom. We're just going out to have a smoke. We walk by those lights, and as soon as we get to the middle light flickers at us. But all 3 of them should have came on, and nobody was at the switches. That
Okay.
didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I'd have been like called a liar if it wasn't for this guy that I barely know that was with us, confirmed it. Yeah, you know,
Hmm.
and yeah, that triggered me to turn around and buy a body cam. Kind of learn as you go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. A lot of people use those.
Yeah, we started using them right after that incident. that was the first time we learned that we weren't properly equipped to take on that building like that,
Hmm.
because you had to be running a camera the whole time because you might miss something.
Hmm.
But apparently, then I later did the research. The building, when it was a flour mill, had a high accident rating.
Okay.
You
Okay.
where there was reports of this, and this. So there was reports of deaths inside the mill when it was a flour mill or a
Right.
lumber mill. Because it was both. It started out as lumber mill or a flour mill. I don't remember. All these. It was a few years ago we did that one, so the facts. You get so many facts and research, you can't remember it all. But yeah, there was deaths there. We found that out later. Um, we were trying to get the EVP sessions upstairs, but we didn't get much. We saw a few orbs, but then we chalked that up to dust flying,
Hmm.
because there was a definite breeze coming through there. The building was old.
Right. Well, that's
And
good that you did that and that you came up with that conclusion. A lot of people would see that dust and then call it an orb, even though they know better.
well,
Mm.
there's
It shows your honesty.
there is yeah, there is times when I found out we were doing a private and home investigation, and I did I always think orbs are, could be an insect on the camera, dust.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can cause that. I'm kind of a computer geek and stuff, so when I think of these things, I got to think of other reasons it could happen.
Right.
Well, when we did this private home investigation, there was a lot of weird shit going on. My wife took with her cell phone, she was taking pictures outside of this old shed in the backyard. And she came in screaming. She's like, look at this, look at this. It looks like it's on fire. There's all kinds of smoke in front of the door, right? So, first thing I did, were you smoking when you took the picture? No. And we went over by the thing and we were looking around to see if anybody, because it was that time of year, people would be burning leaves or whatever. Barbecue, nothing.
Yeah.
No reason why that smoke. We got the owner of the house come out. What's in there? I don't know. I've never been in that place. It's too creepy. It just creeps me out. I won't go in there. Well, I guess there's a first time for everything, ain't there? So we opened it up and it was full of some weird ass graffiti, but it was definitely burned.
Hmm.
The place was on fire at one time.
Oh, geez. Wow.
You know how you get this, like, how glass gets so hot and stuff, it creates like a yellow film,
Right.
and then that film kind of peels off.
Hmm.
That's what was on the windows inside. And the beams, the support beams, the big 4x4s or whatever,
Right.
those were definitely charred and black, you
Wow.
know. And this, I thought the guy was giving me. He ran a comedy podcast. Okay, and we were
Okay.
guests on this as paranormal investigators and stuff. So I thought he was pulling my leg.
Hmm.
More we talked to him, the more he was definitely getting freaked out because he said he'd leave the kitchen and all of a sudden drawers would be open. So he thought his girlfriend was playing tricks on him, but she
Hmm.
wasn't there. She was at work.
Yeah.
You know, he'd leave the bathroom. He swore the bathroom light was turned off, and he'd come back and it was on. Things like that. The oven door was open.
Hmm.
Well, I was down in the basement and I was in this kind of corridor area. Or kind of, it was maybe big enough where it probably somebody probably used it for canning jars. Because
Okay.
it had shelves. Nice, dark, cold place. Anyway, I'm in there and my buddy's filming while I'm in there, and I'm, going around with the EMF meter, kind of watching it and stuff and going like this, seeing if I can get anything in there. And he's like looking at the camera and he's like, there's some orbs in here. I'm going, what? Like, orbs in there. We looked at it and sure enough, there was, and we couldn't explain it. There was no insects, no dust, nothing, no breeze. We saw this later though. We looked at it closer. They were going through my right leg, all right, on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
But before I knew this, I didn't know this on the day we were right there. We didn't, he was just saying, look at this, and, we looked at it and kind of like, okay, we'll look at it later for an entire week. And now I knew I'd be a little off because of walking up and down the stairs of a very old house. There was a lot of them. I knew I'd need a couple of days to recuperate, but it took me over a week to recuperate. And it was my right leg that was hurting the most for that week. So when he looked at those pictures and I'm going, well, that explains why my leg hurts so bad. you know, um, it's weird. I tell you, it really was weird. I mean, we were up there in the attic. We set up a camera in the attic, and the attic was like I said, this house was built in the 1800s, late 1800s. The attic's got one of it was probably a good 2 feet long, big lead weight to open up because it's like a pulley
Right.
system to open up the attic door, and it,
Right.
right? So we had a camera up there for over an hour, and the entire time that weight kept moving, and I swear it was getting faster. And it shouldn't have. There was
Right.
no breeze up there because I've got a little device that'll tell me the slightest bit of wind.
Right. Yeah.
If there was no breeze up there at all, and nothing that should have been moving that thing. It should have stopped. It should have came to a dead stop. But it was constantly moving for 45 minutes.
Have you guys ever been scared? You or your partners have ever been scared?
No, I don't have no.
No.
I don't get scared. I don't have a flight reflex. Neither does he.
Okay.
I mean, we've seen too much shit growing up.
Well,
You can't really, you
yeah.
know.
No, not. Well, that's a good thing.
You
You
know.
guys are
I mean, I
protecting
do
yourself.
have the thing where things can make you jump. I mean,
Yeah.
we were up at that sanatorium hill, and we went back up there to prove a Yahoo video wrong.
Mhm.
Okay. I said, I can recreate this. I said, that was just a dude walking to the only 24-hour store at night, and he was just taking a shortcut walking across the lawn. I duplicated that video just like they did. And they swore up and down it was a ghost or an apparition, you know. But we went back up there, and I haven't lived in Madison for 8 years. So I tend to forget some of the things. Well, not too far from Sanatorium Hill, there's a marsh. Okay. And then right behind it, there's a small set of woods that separate the Sanatorium Hill from a neighborhood, from public residential area. Well, I was walking through them woods on a trail, and all of a sudden this little baby fawn jumped up at me, and I just kind of, did that like got spooked, startled thing, and my friend hadn't let me live that one down since then. But I had almost stepped on it. It was bedded down in the ground. You couldn't see it.
Right.
So I'm walking along and I almost stepped on it. I put my foot down. Next thing you know, this thing pops up right in front of me. I mean, it wasn't even a foot away from me when it
Right.
popped up.
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to jump, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Those little spooky uh, moments like that are actually kind of funny when you sit back and you watch it or you think
Oh,
about it.
yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, those little unexpected things like that that make me jump are kind of funny. So it kind of, you know, livens up the moment when you're like not getting much and it's really boring and nothing's happening and stuff. You gotta
Mhm.
break up the monotony,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. We yeah, I had a friend of mine one time we were camping and he went to go get the food from the table because we had already cooked and we ate and he went for seconds and when he went to the table there was a possum underneath it and they met each other and they both jumped back. It was so funny. The possum even put his hands up like that too. It was so funny. Yeah, he screamed, the possum screamed. They both took off in opposite directions. It was a pretty good night, and we don't let them live that down either. It was fun.
Yeah, things like that. Yeah, I love things like that. I had a place, and I don't like to tell this one too often, but I worked security for Rayovac, the battery making place.
Okay.
They had a packaging plant in Madison, and I was security there. And this place is wide open. It's like old barn houses, okay? Like, and they keep the barn doors and everything wide open because the whole thing's fenced in by a fence. I'm walking around doing my rounds, and there's one alleyway that would spook, because I'd have to train people, and they wouldn't do the alleyway because it was full of bats.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I learned just flashing my flashlight, they'll stay up on the walls because I had a big old mag light. But I was in one of the buildings one day, and I know there's a lot of critters. There's squirrels, there was possums, there was raccoons. They were always rummaging around in there looking for something to eat, because everybody's throwing away whatever from the cafeteria. I'm walking through there and it's real. I mean, the night was like one of these real super quiet nights. Everything was just silent. And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I got something jumping on my back. I mean, it jumped right back and right behind my shoulder and jumped on me. I screamed like a little bitch. I had to go to the bathroom and check my britches afterwards because I thought I was going to piss my pants. And all it was squirrel jumped down on me from the
Oh.
rafters. You know, damn
Mm,
thing just but that place, and this was before I was private. Before I was doing what I do as a paranormal. When I was supervisor in that place, I got called at 3 o'clock in the morning by a female employee. She was afraid to come to the front back to the front because she swore she saw a ghost, an old guy in military garb, you know.
mm,
And I heard that a lot back then, but I never, saw it myself. And I tell you, I went back because I had a key. So I went in there, being a supervisor, I had a key. I had to go back all the way to the back. And this place was a big place. You got to think it's a battery making packaging
yeah.
plant. They actually made the AAA and AA batteries there as well.
Mm,
I went all the way to the back of the building, and this woman was just shaking, like terrified.
mm.
And she said that he looked like he was in military uniform.
Did
Yeah.
anybody ever know like the history of that particular spirit?
I couldn't find it. And when I became a paranormal investigator, the building was torn down.
Okay.
Now it's all got like some kind of high rise on there, apartments or whatever. But
Right.
it's kind of sad because that was part of Madison's history. That building was built there in like one of the first. It had the same date that that Wisconsin became a state, I believe. You know, or the same year. So it was built in 1848.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
that building was there since 1848, and it
Okay.
was a railback building.
Okay. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it always was a railback building, but it was built in 1848.
Hmm. Yeah. She never said what time period the uniform looked, or do you know?
She said it was. She said he was in camo, like,
Okay.
but she couldn't tell colors. It was just a see-through image, and she
Hmm.
could see right through him. She was petrified. She quit her job after that
Oh
too.
wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And she was a damn good security officer up to that point. I mean, it seemed like nothing phased her. She came with very good credentials from other companies around the area.
Hmm.
But she actually quit. She said, I'm not working here no more. She wouldn't work there. She says, transfer me or I quit. You know, I don't have the authority to transfer you.
Hmm.
She said, I quit then. I said, go talk to the captain.
Yeah. Poor thing. So what do you have on your bucket list? What are some places you'd like to go check out and visit?
Well, some of the places I want to check out are not too far away. I mean, I want to go to Eloise in Michigan. Um, I hear that that place has got so much activity, especially the fifth floor.
Mhm.
Um, and we're possibly going to do that this next year because
Mhm.
we're going to take a week road trip.
Mhm.
I'd like to go to Juliet Prison in Illinois and check that out.
Mhm.
That's on my bucket list. And I was told that this place is not open to investigators anymore, but I'm not giving up hope yet. But I want to go to a house in Indiana called, what was that called? Willow's Weep.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Well, I saw a documentary on it,
Hmm.
or not a documentary. It was that show, Most Haunted Places in America. You
Okay.
know, it's one of those. All right. And during the show, the part about that house, the investigator offered to buy the house off the lady that owned it because she didn't want it anymore.
Mm.
And he bought it. Well, I had that investigator on my show a couple of times.
Okay.
So all I did recently, not too long ago, was ask him if he still owned the house.
Okay.
And all he did was say, yep. But no, people I've talked to says that he doesn't let anybody do any investigations there.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find another place in Indiana to go to.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a couple of spots here in Texas that are pretty popular that I like, Um,
Well, there is a place. I don't know if it's if it's not really on a paranormal list, but it is on my list to see, and it is in Texas,
what's that?
the Branch Davidian Ranch in
Oh, in
In
Waco. Yeah,
Waco,
yeah. Huh.
where
That
that
would
mass
be
shootout
interesting.
happened,
Right. Yeah.
because that whole thing pisses me off
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because our government won't acknowledge or take blame for that.
Hmm.
Because I've watched every documentary that's ever been made on that so far that I've seen,
Hmm.
every little mini series, done all this research on it, and as far as I could tell, they shot first,
Hmm.
not the Branch Davidians. Uh, Trigger happy rookie cop shot a dog, and that set off a chain reaction. He got afraid of the dogs because there was dogs out front and they were barking at all the law enforcement, and he just went pop, and next thing you know, it set off.
Yeah.
Everybody got trigger happy. It was an intense situation.
Yeah. 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 I don't know where that property is at. I'd like to know what ever became of it.
It's still standing. My brother is a nomad.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't exactly know what that is. I mean, as far as I can tell, he travels everywhere really cheap, and when he goes to places, he works when he gets there.
Yeah.
Okay. But he was married on that property about 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? And there was a few Branch Davidians that actually still live there on that property.
Oh, really? Yeah. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah. Just see what they have going on over there.
Because he stayed there and he was telling me, he told me the story about him because I asked, I cornered him. Well, he's my half brother, but still, in my eyes, he's my brother.
Right.
So I cornered him and stopped him. I said, "Look, man, I'm into this stuff. You got to tell me more, you know?" So, yeah, I really do want to go there if I ever get a chance.
Yeah.
But I've heard about Texas.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd want to go to Texas. No offense,
Oh, I
but
love Texas.
I heard you don't stop at a stop sign, right? You're going to get busted. Cops are
Yeah.
strict. No, I
Yeah.
think that was just my stepfather. My
Yeah.
stepfather came from Texas. He used to tell me wild stories. But I do know that the whole state would probably shut down if they got more than a foot of snow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
guys don't get snow down there.
Not very much. Yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, I remember a Christmas where it snowed here at Christmas, and I
Did it?
remember Christmases where I was in shorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
We never know what's going to happen down here with the weather. So.
No, we get snow that can be measured into the feet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. You guys can have that, man.
65 below. I remember the blizzard of 70, what was it, 76 or 78? There was a blizzard that whipped through Wisconsin.
Right.
Boy, I was happy. It shut down school for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I got friends in Canada, and they'll show me videos of it snowing there. Them going down the highway. It looks like they're like in the Millennium Falcon and going hyperspace.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
yeah, I know that feeling. You really do get that feeling here too.
Yeah.
There's been days where you get that Millennium Vulcan hyperspace stars flying at you, but it's actually snow.
Yeah. What about your equipment, man? What's your favorite equipment? Do you have a piece that you love to use?
My favorite equipment is myself. I
Okay.
I kind of like to trust my gut feeling. I've
Hmm.
been like a security guard, private investigator, people reader. Um, I kind of got a way of sensing some things, but actually, my favorite equipment's my camera.
Okay.
You know, I got a high def, you know, 4K high def camera that I use. That's like I like to review it and make sure that I don't pick up on it. The EVP thing that's another big one. Because it'll pick up things that I may not hear. That's happened to us before. You
Hmm.
know, and so basically anything that records audio.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of things out there that we can't hear sometimes, and you'd be surprised. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah. I've actually captured EVP myself in the house I used to live in years ago. That was pretty freaky. but it wasn't like scary, you know. It was just kind of
Well,
weird.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's really cool when it happens like almost a year later and you're reviewing the footage and reviewing everything, and I still haven't put this together yet. So nobody can see the video or anything yet because I'm trying to find a way to get around getting red flagged by YouTube. Okay.
Mm.
We went out to the place where the day the music died,
Okay.
where the the crash site of Buddy Holly,
Right. Right.
Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper.
Hmm.
Okay, and of course the pilot. Um, and all of a sudden, and we got invited to go out there with Dale Kazmarek. He called and he's like, "I got some places. We're going to Iowa. You game?" I said, "Okay." So we met him near the crash site. We went to the crash site, and I got to tell you, it was very surreal just to be there.
Hmm.
You know, I'm a big music buff. I like all kinds of music, and just to be there, you know, where the day the music died. I mean, music has never been the same. Dukes of Hazard wouldn't have been the same if things weren't changed. If that coin toss went a different way for that
Hmm.
plane crash, because then you would have had Richie Valens and Waylon Jennings would have been on that plane instead of Richie Valens.
Right. Yeah.
And Waylon Jennings was the hands you always saw on TV playing that guitar,
Right.
and the balladeer. So Dukes of Hazzard wouldn't have been the same if that plane crash went another way. However, we were reviewing the footage about a year later because I'm trying to figure out a way to. I guess I can't play the music, and I don't want to play the exact thing that they
Okay.
said on the when they interrupt this program for. I'm going to do it myself somehow. So I
Okay.
got making a transcript of that. Anyway, when I get it all said and done, we heard a phantom plane
Oh
that was
wow.
that was about the exact size of the one they crashed in. And we weren't there in February when they crashed. We were there like in the middle of summer,
Hmm.
you know, and it nobody heard it. I mean, nobody heard a plane or saw a plane while we were there, but there's definitely a plane on the recording.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to check out and listen to.
So
Mm. Hmm. And where's this location at exactly?
Iowa, Springfield, Iowa. I'm not sure. I
Okay.
don't get that's one that kind of eluded my memory of the exact place
Okay.
because we went to another place that was also in Iowa, but it was in Maxwell, Iowa. It was called Far Our School, and as we were setting up our equipment, we're above the gym, and we saw a ball roll behind Dale Kazmarek, but nobody was down there to push the ball or anything.
Hmm.
So we have no idea. So nobody got that on the recording, but I had to leave within the first 5-10 minutes of entering that building, and I had to exit real quick because I started feeling really sick. And the minute I stepped outside and off the step, I started feeling better.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. So I went back in, got myself, you know, put my neck, I had a cross, so I put it on and stuff, and I went back in there, and kind of was prepared for it this time. I walked into this one room. It's the boiler room just off the gym downstairs, and you could feel the evil and dark presence that were in that room. Mark decided to provoke things while he was there. Well, the joke was on him because after that, all of his equipment started failing. He couldn't even get into his laptop. It locked him out. He kept punching in the password. I know I got the password right. And I'm sitting there kind of laughing about it because it's like, dumbass, don't provoke these things. He gets home next morning, opens up his laptop, and boom, he's in. First try. You know. So whatever it was didn't want him recording any information.
Yeah.
However, my equipment didn't fail. Dale has something called, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, called a Phasma box.
I think I have heard of it.
It's
I've been
kind
looking at a
of,
bunch of equipment here lately. Yeah.
anyway, we're in this boiler room asking questions and we're getting all kinds of voices coming through this thing. And one of them was a very angry voice. I've never seen something like this before at this place, and it was eerie. That's another one. If you ever look at that, it's Maxwell, Iowa. That one I know is Maxwell, Iowa.
Okay.
That's and then we were supposed to go to the Melissa Axe murder house, but that was overbooked, so we didn't get in there.
Well, Mr. Joe, man, we're running up on the end of the show here. If you want to, real quick, why don't you tell people a little bit about your website, your YouTube channel, your social media, whatever you
Well,
want to tell them?
everything can be found at utterlyinsaneproductions.com. Our YouTube channel can be found there, and our Facebook page can be found there. And we go live every Friday night at 5 p.m. Central Time. You can find all of our investigation videos, and they're all raw. I don't edit anything in except, like a little nice intro screen telling you what we investigated and then credit screens, and that's it. Everything else, you see exactly what we see. Maybe hell, maybe you guys might see something I won't see or we haven't seen yet. But that's what our investigations are. They're completely raw and unedited. And those can only be seen on our YouTube channel usually. So, but our talk show, it goes live on both Facebook and YouTube. And we have Chris Garcia coming up on Friday.
Oh, he's a tarot guy, right? Tarot and
Yeah,
psychic medium.
kind of medium. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
He's a
very
good dude.
very interesting dude.
Yeah, yeah.
We
He's been
love,
on the show a couple times actually.
yep, ours too. We really enjoy having him. So,
Yeah, he's a trip, man. He's a
yep,
character, but in a good way. So
yep.
yeah,
It's all about having fun, man.
yeah, man. He's a good dude. Cool beans, man. Y'all guys check it out Friday. What time you guys gonna be going?
We go live at 5 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, you guys check it out at 5 o'clock, man. You won't regret it. It'll be a good show. I know it will. Well, cool beans, Mr. Joe. Thanks a lot for doing the show. Like I said, I know it was last minute, so I do
Hey,
appreciate it,
anytime,
man.
man.
Yeah, yeah. If you ever need a guest, man, hit me up, man. I'll jump on with you guys for sure.
Yeah,
But
well, we're gonna be starting for next year. Is We're booked to the end of this year.
yeah, yeah. I'm booked
We
all the
got,
way through January actually. So
I haven't got that far yet. I've been a little lazy because I've got grandkids.
mhm. Yeah, I know.
When you get married to somebody that's got kids and you got kids, well, then you end up with like a ton of grandkids.
There you go. Yeah,
It's fun, but it can get expensive at Christmas time.
yeah. It's probably cheaper to go on vacation, right?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, well,
I got
cool.
two birthdays this month too,
Oh,
because
geez,
my
yeah.
two oldest kids, one was born on the 9th, the other one was on the 27th, 2 days after Christmas.
Wow, well, that's good. Well,
So,
that's cool, man. All right, well, hold on real quick. Oh, everyone, this is actually my last show of the year too, by the way. So I won't see you till 2024. It'll be January the 8th. I will have a young lady by the name of Taylor on. She's a tarot reader. She's a great, great young woman. You guys will like her a lot, man. So tune in for that show. You guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And
Hello.
okay, all right, guys. You guys have a good night.